Thanks very much, Jill, and thanks very much for the invitation. I'd rather stand on this side because it's my best side over here. I turned 60 years old the other day, and on Australia's Day actually. I turned 60, and I really appreciate the offer of $5 for 50 years membership here. Because some smart larrikin bought me a set of bowls for my birthday. But anyway, look, I will just talk about, just give you a little bit of a background on myself. I'm fourth generation on the land where we are in that area, and I have one of my sons works on the property with me, and so he's fifth generation, and he's expecting one of his own, so that'll be the next generation. So it's been a really tough gig to be a farmer, doesn't matter where you are, but the Lockyer Valley where we are, we obviously rely on a lot of water for our crops, and with this drought at the moment, a lot of people are running out of water, and we haven't had a decent flood since 2011. And I mean, we knew what disaster that was back in 2011. And I was actually on the council at that time. I was 12 years as a councillor, and I was fairly heavily involved with the flood at that time. And our council did a first in Australia and relocated houses in Grantham that the world saw, and we had people ringing from all around the world just seeing how we did it and why. Well, we could understand why we did it, and how people actually took to moving from their own little area up to another area where they'd spent half their lifetime in one area with certain neighbours. And you know, we accommodate a lot of these people when we moved them up to the hill. If neighbours wanted to stay together, they got 2 blocks side by side, and yeah, it was really, really interesting the way it was done. But my father signed me up to the National Party when I was about 17 or 18 years old. Excuse me. And I never really got involved. Jared spoke about the Conservative government for 30 years or something, and what a good position they put the state in. And yes, that was the National Party, and a good country party. And I was in the National Party through the amalgamation with the Liberal Party, and you've got to ask yourself, what are they doing wrong now, the LNP? I really believe it was reverse takeover, and the Liberal Party runs the show. So I got involved with our local branch at the National Party when I was just after I was married, because of the Conservative government and how good it was, and I wanted to be involved in making sure it stayed good. So I attended the meetings, the Lockyer Valley being such a big produce hub and a big fodder growing area. You had big railway stations at Helidon and Grantham and Gatton and Forest Hill and Laidley, where they send out 10s and 20 wagon loads a week of lucerne hay. Might have been going to Townsville, Cairns, Chinchilla, Roma, Quilpie, all these sidings that you've never even heard of now. There's sidings there that you could send hay to, and it'd cost you about $2 a bale, $2.50 a bale to send a wagon of hay out. Now, when the Labor government got in, and I don't know how long they've been in power for, when they first got back in there, could be 15 years ago, 20 years ago, they put that $2.50 up to $8 in one hit. And that stopped everything. That was the first big kick in the guts we got in the Lockyer Valley. I think you've got a lot of children in Parliament these days. You don't have any respected people that have been there, done that, and they've seen that. I think you've got a lot of uneducated politicians, and you often see it in the paper. It's my career, you've ruined my career. I see that fella up at the Whitsundays or whatever it is that's in a bit of strife, and he's saying, this is my career. It's not a career, it's a passion. You be in politics, it's a passion. You're there for your community, you love your community. You've been in through the highs and the lows with that community, and you want to make a difference. So what happened to us was, I was involved with the family partnership for many years, and we decided to go on our own. We had our own children coming along, and we decided to move out of the arrangement with the family. The long and the short of it is, I was actually the manager of that business, and after I left, that whole setup fell over, and we were not only farming, we had a big interstate truck business as well, and that all fell over, and I'd end up buying my farm back again. So I've been through a fair bit. I've been through dealings with the banks. I know what they're capable of, and I can understand what you're talking about, Greenie. But I really think that the mortgage brokers is just the fall guy for the banks. They're taking a lot of the crap from the big banks. So what we decided to do, we decided to diversify, because you're relying on road transport to cart your produce now, and I mean, look, we have over 100 to 200 semis. We're talking B doubles, leave the Lockyer Valley every night to go to Sydney and Melbourne. That's all over the Lockyer Valley. That's how much produce we put out of the Lockyer Valley. Hundreds every day. And they're going everywhere. So they're still getting the same price now, what they did 30 years ago. They might even be getting less. So one farm's buying the next door neighbour out, because you've got to have the land to grow twice as much or 3 times as much as what you did 10, 20, 50 years ago. So that's just the way it's gone. And our biggest problems at the moment is the cost of electricity, the cost of fuel, the cost of wages. I think all these things take a toll on the farmer. And if you listen to Bob Catter's statistics, there's a farmer committing suicide every week in Australia, and you can see why. They suffer years and years of drought in North Queensland, keeping their stock alive. They've bred genetics in their own cattle that they know what they've got, and they've spent a lifetime doing it. Then they get all this rain, and it just all washed away, and it's really disheartening. And then you get groups like this, AussieFarm.org, and I've got nothing against the vegan. I don't care what you eat, what have you. But when they want to come and target people's properties, and they want to take your livelihood away from you, we don't know what it's done to some of their customers, where they can get on and read these things, because people get on and have a look at these things on these websites, and a lot of people think, well, maybe Neuendorf farms are pretty crook. Even though they've won awards for their environment and sustainability, people do read these things, and they actually put on the website of what level their volunteers, what level you're willing to go to. Are you willing to walk onto your property? Are you willing to cause a disturbance? Are you willing to get into a bit of scuffle? Are you willing to break the law and go to prison? This is what they're asking people to go. Now, I know that there's been talk about their charitable status. I've actually rang David Littleproud's office yesterday morning. It's the first thing I did yesterday morning. Well, it wasn't actually the first thing, because their office didn't open till 9 o'clock. And by the time I got through to somebody, they said, send them an email. Yeah. And they still have not returned my phone call or email. All I want to know is, what's happening? Did this group get a government grant? If you have a look, when you apply for a government grant, look, I can't apply for a government grant because you've got to be mostly aligned with a charitable organisation or a community group. That's just the way they write up a lot of things. It's very hard to actually get money from the government. Some people do, but they know their politicians pretty well. And unfortunately, I wouldn't ring my local politician because he's never seen in our area, and he is only there because he leapfrogged into the area. wasn't even a person that lived in our area. So this is what's happening, and that's a Conservative Party. They just hop on someone's back and here's a good spot, mate. You've been a good and loyal servant to me. You know, like Jared Rennick, who comes up through the ranks and puts all in the hard work. And I support Jared for what he's doing, and I'm a total fan of Jared's, and I could listen to him all night long, especially when he gets into the real nitty-gritty of all the finances around the world and Australia. It's really interesting listening to him. But anyway, these people can come onto your property. They haven't come onto our property. And we have got chicken. We have got meat chicken. They're actually in mobile hoops, so they're actually called pasture-grown chicken. And we have mobile coops where they're on new grass every day. Not that we've got much grass at the moment. It's pretty brown. And the layers, we haven't got a lot of layers. We only have 1,000 all the time at one time. And they're in caravans, so they're caravans, old caravans, the floor's taken out and perches, and they're on grass as well. So we've targeted the high-end restaurants, and we have some really good clients. We have the Governor General buys his stuff off us. When he has a special do, they'll ring through and put an order in for chicken, fish. We've got a fish farm as well, and also Parliament House. Parliament House in Brisbane buy all the eggs, and for their politicians, they have nothing but the best. Yeah, so look, we sort of live in fear all the time. I'm not too worried about any intruders. I've got a fairly vicious wife, and the son's just as bad. And we're very, very friendly with the local police. So we have got at the Hillerton Police, we've got a couple of good policemen there, and actually when we were listed on the website, the police contacted us and said, "How are you going? We're aware you're on the website. So let us know if there's any problems." So, which is good of them. I have not one thing from our state member, nothing from our federal member. And I'm still waiting to hear back from David Littleproud, as I told you. So I'd like him to check into whether they got any government grant for what they're doing, because I think that's absolutely terrible if they did. So I don't know whether you know anything about that, Jared.
No, I don't, but I can find out.
Yeah, very interesting. So getting back to what I was saying before is, when we decided to go out on our own, we thought, well, people are growing the same crops and they're not getting anywhere. Because I remember when I was a kid helping, when we were growing potatoes, like you'd hit one every 10 years or something like that, you'd make money out of growing potatoes. So I thought, we just got to do something a little bit different. So that's when we first started with the aquaculture. So we've got a recirculation system where we've got sheds with fish in them and tanks, and the water goes round and round, and we put oxygen in the water, and we grow a few different species of fish. So it's been very interesting. We don't have any opposition, and it's been a very, very sharp learning curve to do that. And that's another issue we've got with people coming onto our property, is the biosecurity, especially with the fish and with the chicken, because you don't know where these people have been and what properties they've been on.
They stink anyway.
Yeah, so, and what damage they can do, because if they go into our control room and turn a couple little valves, they could cut the oxygen off to certain tanks, and if our fish don't have any oxygen going in those tanks, they're dead in 10 minutes. So anyway, that's probably a little bit of my background. I could talk to you about local government, but I'm not going to. Yeah, that's right. But our biggest issue is electricity. because we're using electricity all the time, and you know, the price just keeps going up and up and up, and we've been putting solar on our roof and etc., etc. I think that's things which you've got to do. Thank you very much.